So how much time should you take off to rest and recover after your last marathon before you start training again? My name's Drew. I'm a 2:28 marathoner and coach. I live in Flagstaff, Arizona. This is what I think. So I'm coming off of the Berlin Marathon. I ran a personal best of 2:28, and that was about 4 weeks ago, just under 4 weeks ago. I'm currently back training, but a lot of people have asked me, how long should I wait after a race before I start building up for another race? And I think that depends on a lot of different factors. What type of runner you are? Are you a new runner, more advanced? How many lifetime miles do you have under your belt? What's your injury status and risk? I'll tell you a little bit about me, and I'll give you an example of someone I'm working with. So in my case, I did go all out in this race, and the effort level and how fatigued you are during the race and immediately after definitely is going to dictate how ready you will be to train again after a marathon. A general rule of thumb is it takes about a month for your body to get back to its just base level status after racing an all-out marathon. So that might seem like a long time, and I don't want people to think that means, oh, I have to stop running for a month after my race. All that means is you need to make sure that all of your recovery practices, so if that means you're stretching, in the sauna, foam rolling daily, eating well, getting tons of sleep, if you're optimizing all those things, getting back to some easy recovery level running is going to be really good for your body. But one of the challenges I have as a coach is that I don't know what recovery looks like for most people. So I have to kind of put in some padding into the post-marathon time so I can ensure that someone is not going to be at higher injury risk because of the training, because they already are at higher injury risk because of the marathon. Let's take the case of someone I'm coaching. She recently ran a marathon in Chicago a couple weeks ago, but she was guiding her friend who was blind, so his paces are much slower than hers. They finished in over 6.5 hours, which for her marathon time and goals are closer to the 3.5 to 3 hours 45 minutes range. This was not a huge effort for her, and it's not going to require a ton of recovery time like something like my race would require quite a bit of recovery time for someone who's not running a lot of miles. So for her, 1 week out from her past marathon, we've already been doing a little bit of light speed work to move the legs, get things clicking again. And she's doing some easy running on top of that and some strides, nothing too demanding, low level volume, and we'll build back. And maybe about 1 month out from the race, we can be back to something that resembles a more demanding training schedule. Now take someone like me where I don't have a ton of lifetime miles, so how it feels after a really demanding marathon, an all-out race, is I was wrecked. For about a week I was wrecked. But something that really helps me is just getting movement back. So even the day of my marathon, I probably walked another 6 to 7 miles around Berlin, doing some sightseeing with my wife. I took a hot Epsom salt bath after the race to loosen things up. Before that, I did some stretching, and then every day after that, I did quite a bit of walking, because if I don't, I get really, really tight, and it can be hard to start running again. So that was the week after the marathon. And then 1 week after that, I worked in 30 to 40 minute runs, really slow, nice and easy. Did some strides at the end of that week, and then 3 weeks out, I did a light workout, just 10 by 1 minute on, 1 minute off. And then on the weekend, after I was feeling really good about that, I did an hour and a half, really steady, and I felt like my fitness was pretty much where it was at before I raced the marathon. So now this week, I think this is the 4th week out, so 3 full weeks done, 4th week out from the race. I'm back to a relatively normal training plan, but really focusing on injury resilience and staying healthy and building back to volume, hopefully around 70 miles this week. After the marathon, I went about 35, 50 to 55. And then this week, hopefully around 70 to 75. And then hopefully after that, about 85. And then I'm actually racing again at the California International Marathon here in early December. So coming up, I have like 4 to 5 weeks to get a little bit more training in, and then boom, racing again. So what your post-marathon is going to look like is going to be a lot different from mine. It's going to be a lot different from the coaching client that I mentioned earlier. And it's going to depend a lot on where you're at and what your race performance really looked like. Like, how hard did you go? How did it feel during the race? Did you have any cramping, muscular issues, any like sort of injury, and how do you optimize your recovery overall? And if you're having trouble gauging what that'll look like, I'd suggest reaching out to a coach and understand what like true recovery should look like for someone like you, and really optimize your training plan overall. So there's no short and sweet, simple clickbait answer. There never really is. If you have any questions, hit me up. You know where to find me. Stay tuned for the next video. Appreciate you watching. Happy running.